All right. Good morning, everybody. So I'm on the edge of this beautiful little village in China, and it's raining here, but it's still beautiful. Watch the river down below. It's just such a tranquil, nice place. So anyway, I'm going to continue the story or start a new story that is a continuation of yesterday's story. So yesterday we read or on Friday, the Hoshi Jade. Today is called The Prime Minister and the General. And these are the two stories, short stories that actually go together. So this one is kind of a continuation of that story. And if you remember, we had Lin Shangju. He was kind of the star of the show last time. He was the envoy who was really clever and very brave. Anyway, this is a little continuation of that story, okay? So this one's called The Prime Minister and the General. Several months after Lin Shangju had returned to the state of Chao, the king of Qin sent an envoy to invite the king of Chao to meet him at a city called Mianqi. The king of Chao became worried again. He knew the king of Qin had one time played a similar trick on the king of Chu and made him a prisoner. The king was not sure that such a trip was safe. Remember, Qin is the most powerful state in China, the warring states, and Chao is the weakest. So you got to be really careful when you're dealing with Qin. But General Lian Po and Lin Shangju, who had now become an official in the king's court, both thought that if their king did not accept the invitation, it would show that he was a coward and would make Chao look very weak. So Lin Shangju asked to accompany the king to Mianqi and have the troops commanded by General Lian Po follow at a distance. Okay, so you got two people, General Lian Po and Lin Shangju. And the story is called The Prime Minister and the General. So it's probably those two that are going to be featured in the story. As General Lian Po stood by the side of the road, seeing the king off, he said, Chen cannot predict what is going to happen on this trip. If Tao Wang does not return to Chao in 30 days, please allow Chen and the high officials of the court to support, tied to ascension to the throne, so that the king of Qin will gain nothing from the state of Chao by detaining Tao Wang. So he's saying, let us appoint a successor to you so that if he does capture you and keep you, it won't hurt Chao because we'll still have another king to replace you. The king agreed and proceeded toward Mianqi. When the king of Chao arrived in Mianqi, the king of Qin greeted him in a solemn ceremony. A banquet was held in his honor. In the middle of the meal, the king of Qin said to his guest, I heard that you are a very good musician. I have a say. Would you mind playing it for me? The king of Chao's face reddened at this insult, but he dared not refuse. The king of Qin ordered one of his servants to bring in the sei. It's S-E, as you can see there, a stringed wooden instrument, and placed it on the table in front of the king of Chao. Reluctantly, the king of Chao played a tune. Excellent, said the king of Qin, laughing. Official of historical records, write this down in our book. On this very day, the king of Chao has played the sei to amuse the king of Qin. Lin Shangju quickly walked up to the king of Qin. My king has learned that Tao Wang is good at percussion instruments. Here, I have a wine jar. Would Tao Wang please play it? With the wine jar in his hand, he knelt down in front of the king of Qin. The king of Qin looked angry. He said nothing and refused to play. Tao Wang thinks that he is powerful, said Lin Shangju, holding up the wine jar as he was about to strike the king's head with it. However, since I am within such a short distance, I can easily make you play. If any of your soldiers tries to kill me, my blood will splash upon you. He fixed his eyes on the king of Qin. The king of Qin was stunned. The blood of a man on him could become a deadly curse, and he did not want that. The officials of Qin began to reprimand Lin Shengju. Some wanted to have him arrested, but Lin Shengju stood firm and would not budge. Finally, the king of Qin gave in. He beat the wine jar several times and made some noise. Lin Shengju rose to his feet and called the official of historical records. Record these words in our book. On this very date, the king of Qin beat a wine jar to entertain the king of Chao, making them now equal. He played the se for him, and now the king of Qin played the drums for Chao. At this point, several officials of the state of Qin, who had received instructions from their king before the meeting, walked over to the king of Chao and said, "Please give the king of Qin 15 cities to celebrate his birthday." He wants 15 cities for his birthday, the king of Qin. It's a tall order. Lin Shengju immediately said to the king of Qin, "If Ta Wang wants 15 cities from Chao, the king of Chao should also get something in return. What about giving him Shangyang as a gift?" Shangyang was the capital of Qin. The king of Qin knew that he could not afford to lose his capital, so he decided to make peace. He said, "The king of Chao and I are friends. Please do not say anything more." As the meeting drew to a close, some of his officials suggested that the king of Qin have the king of Chao and Lin Shengju detained, meaning kept prisoner. But when the king of Qin learned that General Lian Po's troops were stationed not far away and could attack his state at any time, he decided not to follow his officials' advice. On the contrary, he began to respect the king of Chao and proposed that the two become sworn allies. He promised that he would never invade Chao, and to show his sincerity, he even sent his son to Chao as a hostage. So the meeting at Mianqi ended without any incident, and the king of Chao returned to his state safely with Lin Shengju. Impressed by Lin Shengju's wisdom and bravery, the king of Chao appointed him prime minister. But General Lian Po became very angry when he learned that Lin Shengju had become his superior. He said to his officers, "I have fought and won many battles so that the state of Chao can be as safe as it is now. And yet Lin Shengju is the one who gets the credit. He did nothing but talk. It is not fair that he should have a higher position than mine. He rose from a very low social status. If I see him on the streets, I will kill him." Lian Po's words reached Lin Shengju's ears. Now, keep this in mind. General Po was talking about, Lian Po was talking about Lin Shengju and saying, and he offered a threat, "If I see him around, I'm going to kill him." And then someone told Lin Shengju what he said. Think about this at school, like when someone says, "No, I'm going to beat her up," or I'm going to take her boyfriend, or I don't know, whatever goes on. And you hear about it. And then you get mad and you want to fight. "Oh yeah, he said that, she said that. Okay, whatever. Let's find out how they handle it." The prime minister became sad. Wait, sad? He didn't become angry and said, "Oh yeah, well, I'll get him." No, he became sad and worried because he knew that conflict between him and the general would endanger the state of Chao. He's thinking of all the people of Chao, not just himself and his reputation. So he often used illness as an excuse to stay away from court meetings, and he avoided direct contact with Lian Po. Lin Shengju's house guests were concerned about his safety, but they did not know what to do. One day when Lin Shengju was riding in a carriage, he was told that Lian Po's carriage was coming toward him. He quickly ordered his driver to pull over to the side of the road and let Lian Po's carriage pass. When Lin Shengju's house guests heard about this incident, they became very angry and said to him, "We left our homes and came to serve you because we thought you were a brave and noble man. But now you seem to be afraid of General Lian Po, even though your position is higher than his. When he threatened you, you never fought back. Instead, you avoided him by not attending court meetings and went as far as making way for him on the roads. We did not know that you were such a coward. We are ashamed and feel that we are inferior to others. That is why we have come to bid you farewell." They bowed and were about to leave. Lin Shangju quickly stopped them. "Please, do not misunderstand me. I am not the coward you think." He invited them to sit down and began to explain. "I avoided meeting with General Lian Po not because I was afraid of him. There is a very important reason." "What is it?" asked his house guest. "Tell me," said Lin Shangju, "who is more formidable, the King of Qin or General Lian Po?" "The King of Qin, of course," answered the house guest without hesitation. "That's right. If you remember how I defeated the king's attempts to seize the Hoshi Jie, that was the last story, and to humiliate our king at Mian Qi, which we just read about, you should know that I was not intimidated by the King of Qin at all. If I am not afraid of the King of Qin, how can I be afraid of General Lian Po? The reason why the King of Qin dares not invade our state is because he knows that General Lian Po and I are united in serving our king. If we were fighting each other, one of us would be destroyed. It would give the King of Qin the opportunity to invade. With this in mind, I have avoided any confrontation with General Lian Po. I am concerned about the safety of our state, not about which official should rank first." I like Lin Shangju, by the way. And General Lian Po is behaving very badly. He's being very selfish and only caring about himself and his hurt ego. See what ego does? Pride. Lin Shangju's house guests were deeply touched by his words and took them to heart. One day, when they were drinking in a wine shop, a few of Lian Po's followers came in. They began to pick a quarrel with Lin Shangju's house guests over the seats. But the house guests remembered their patron's example. They quickly rose and left the seats to Lian Po's followers. Lian Po became more and more arrogant. Seeing that Lin Shangju is no longer attended court meetings, he began to believe that his rival really was afraid of him. Then a wise man named Yu Qing traveled to Chao and learned about the feud between Lin Shangju and Lian Po. He went to visit the king of Chao. "The most important officials in Ta Wang's court are Prime Minister Lin and General Lian. Is that right?" asked Yu Qing. "Yes, of course," said the king of Chao. The king of Chao replied. "In the past, all the important officials of the court were noble-minded and cooperated with one another. But Ta Wang's two officials are like fire and water, unable to stand each other's presence. This is very dangerous for the state of Chao. Would Ta Wang like me to be a peacemaker between the two?" The king of Chao agreed and authorized Yu Qing to go ahead. When Yu Qing visited Lian Po, he first praised the general for his merits. Lian Po was delighted. Then Yu Qing said, "According to the war merits, General, you rank first. As to nobility, Prime Minister Lian is first." Lian Po immediately became upset. "Lin Shangju is a coward. He has nothing but a quick tongue. Why do you say that he is noble?" Yu Qing smiled and replied, "Lin Shangju is not a coward. He is a man with a broad vision and never shows off. Before coming here, I talked to several of his house guests, and they told me that the reason Lin Shangju avoids any conflict with you is because he believes it would weaken the state of Chao. He cares more about his country than about his pride." A lesson there. Lian Po suddenly understood. He felt very much ashamed and said to Yu Qing, "If you had not pointed this out to me, I would not have seen my mistake. It does seem that I am not as noble as Prime Minister Lin." He then asked Yu Qing to inform Lin Shangju that he was on his way to the prime minister's residence to apologize. Lian Po followed the tradition of that time and dressed himself like a public penitent. He bared his shoulders and tied a piece of firewood to his back. Then he walked up the steps that led to Lin Shangju's house and knelt down at the entrance to the hall. When Lin Shangju, who was working in his study, learned from Yu Qing that Lian Po was at the door, he rushed out to greet him. Realizing that he was wearing only his short robe, he hurried back and grabbed his long one. Throwing the robe over his shoulders, he ran to the entrance. "General Lian Po," he cried as he knelt down facing the general, "why are you doing this?" "I was blind enough not to see that Chen Sheng was tolerating me for the sake of our country," said Lian Po as tears rolled down his cheeks. "I deeply regret my shameful behavior and have come to ask for Chen Sheng's forgiveness. Please punish me in any way you like." "Please do not say this," said Lin Shangju as he wiped the general's tears with his sleeve. "I am from the younger generation and need your guidance in many ways." He quickly helped Lian Po to his feet. "We too are responsible for our country's security and must answer to our king. We should be united in dealing with our enemies. Please forgive me for my faults." Lin Shangju unfastened the firewood that was tied to Lian Po's back and threw it aside. Then he took off his long robe and helped Lian Po put it on. The two went into the hall together where tea was served. Lian Po suggested that they be Shen Shu Qi Qiao, life and death friends. Lin Shangju immediately agreed. They went down on their knees and swore never to betray each other. From that time on, Lin Shangju and Lian Po always got along. Chao became safe, prosperous, and strong for many years. The king of Chao was very pleased that the discord was resolved between his two most important officials. He rewarded the wise man Yu Qing with 100 liang of gold and appointed him a high official of his court. The end. All right, so we saw there that humility is often a better characteristic than pride and ego. All right, so please learn from this example. Yeah, you'll have many chances in your life to make a choice between fighting someone, in not necessarily fist fighting, but it could be that, or a battle of words, or a battle of getting people to hate other people. And the opposite is more noble. Making peace, having friends, and being happy is usually a much better pursuit. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm gonna go have myself some tea right now, and I'll meet you again on the next story for tomorrow. All right, guys, take care. We will see you next time.